there is something happening. And the truth is that if you take the food that you eat, okay, there it is, it's on a plate, and if we measured the calories outside of your body, it's going to be a certain number, and that's inarguable. You cannot argue that. We know how to test, okay? You literally burn it. Okay, it's calories, it's literally a unit of energy. And then you take those calories and you put it into a human body. And then at the end, you either had more calories or less calories. If you had less calories, you burned a few grams of fat. If you had more, you added a few grams of fat. Period, end of story. It's that simple. The question is not just here. The question is also here. What's happening in this human body? Meaning, how much muscle is on it? How much does it move? There are genetic components in terms of like how this food is metabolized, which we'll talk about. But there are lots of things, like what is its thyroid function? We can talk about a whole bunch of things that are happening in this black box. But at the end of the day, just like the math, like f of x, it's like a function machine. We take the number, we put it in, and we get it out. So when Jim said the issue is overeating, you're right. But somebody else said sugar, they're right. The sugar companies say this: sugar's not a problem if you follow the laws of thermodynamics. Meaning, if you can give people a fairly sugar-rich diet, give them 10, 20, 30% of their calories in sugar, as long as they undereat or eat the same amount of calories, will they gain weight? No. So they'll say that's sugar's not the obesity issue. Sugar obeys the laws of thermogenics. So sugar's not the problem. Okay, so what do people like me and hopefully you guys understand about that argument? Because well, go ahead.
I was going to say you never undereat sugar.
Thank you. Because as we've talked about, like, I don't know how many times, we're talking about a war on food companies where you have on average 30 PhDs, and some of those PhDs are mathematicians hired by food companies to figure out what's called the bliss point of foods, not just for sugar, but for salts and for fats and for texture. And what is their point? Exactly what you just said. How can I get you to eat more and therefore buy more? So now, all you have to do is acknowledge the fact that that's happening. This is what they do. This is what they try to do. In 1999, there was a very famous meeting. If you're interested in learning about this, I'll send you the documentary or even the book that talks about this meeting, where all these major food companies came together. And the person who spoke out about exactly what I'm telling you guys today was one of the major executives of the company. I don't remember if it was Kraft or Nestle or whoever it was, but it was a major billion-dollar company. It was he and somebody else who made this argument that we were making people fat. This is 1999. They gave all the data, they explained everything, and they were met with a lot of chagrin. But part of what the argument that these companies came back with was, well, we give people other options. We give them low fat, we give them this, we give them low sodium. But the question is what is always the best seller? Obviously, it's always the shittiest stuff. People won't opt for it. That's why I'm telling you, we're literally in this position where it's an addiction. Like if your child was an alcoholic, God forbid, right? Would you opt to live upstairs above a bar? Would you live across the street from a bar? Would you have alcohol in the house and accessible? Would you do that? Okay, I am telling you that what's happening with food and sugar is tantamount to that, and I'm not kidding. And that's what we're not getting. That's the dialogue I'm trying to have with people, adults, our children, that it is as serious of a problem. Because when you look at where medical dollars are going, 80% are going to metabolic dysfunction, which means it's preventable. It's metabolic, meaning we're doing it to ourselves. We're causing dysfunction metabolically, How are we doing it? A lot of it starts with sugar, which leads to the overeating. Are there other variables involved? Yes, there's, like I said, there's salt and there's fat and there's texture and all these things, but it is happening via these companies that know this science so well that it is creating the situation where we overeat. So, what have I proposed as the solution for this for the past 15 years? And I will show you evidence beyond your own, right? All we have to do is different people can stand up here and tell me, I lost this much weight, I used to be that much weight, I did these things, and when I followed the program, this is what I do. And many of you have maintained that lifestyle. But what is, just in a nutshell, the basic thing you need to stop doing, right? It's you stop eating out of packages, boxes, and cans. You start eating and opting for leaner proteins and fibrous foods. Whether it's raw, whether it's cooked, whatever it is, the bottom line is you opt more for lean proteins and fibrous foods. Now, yes, I talk a lot about organic, I talk about a lot of things. But at the end of the day, when it comes to this stuff right here, here's your food, okay? Now that's the other variable. Okay, we could talk about the black box, and I've done 40-day challenges where I've just talked about the black box every day. 10 minutes on different things that's happening here. But the bottom line is, the thing about calories is that once it goes into the black box, they're not metabolized the same way, which you guys know. Protein takes a lot more energy to digest, about 30% more. Fiber takes more energy, right? If you put things like high fructose corn syrup in it, not only don't you get those thermogenic benefits, you're actually doing damage to organs over time, and this is well studied. So as the high fructose corn syrup goes up, we see visceral fat, visceral adiposity goes up, even in kids. So they've done studies in California on college kids where they titrate up the amount of high fructose corn syrup they get over time. And in just a few weeks, not months, you see their visceral adiposity go up.